Hey, class of 2020. This is going to be our last Life 101 video. So everything after this will be regarding your final, which will be, just like everything else, completely optional. And I will be giving you guys extra credit, and that extra credit will go towards test quizzes and essays. But we'll talk about that next week. But just so you know, that's what's coming next. And this will be the last Life 101 one. And I hope you enjoyed these Life 101 videos. It's not at all how I wanted to teach this. I was really expecting more of like, let's sit around and chit chat and you ask questions and I tell you the straight truth about it from my perspective, I guess. So this has just been more of like my stream of conscious rambling based off of the topics that you picked without really being able to interact with you. So I'm really kind of disappointed. Especially because rumor has it I don't have seniors next year. So it's kind of like you guys are gonna be like a test pilot class on this. So anyway, that's that. Miss you guys a lot. So here's our last Life 101. All right, people management. Good luck with that. You really can't manage others. I mean, think about when people try to tell you what to do or how to do something, how you react. That's how everybody else reacts too, and that's their thought process too. People don't want to be managed. People are not going to do something that they don't want to do. Look at your missing assignments. If you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, and neither will anybody else. The only thing I can say is if you are put in a management position and you have underlings, treat people with respect. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. It's what my grandmother used to always tell me. So be nice, be respectful. Don't ask people to do things that you wouldn't be willing to do yourself. And just don't be an expletive. You know what word I want to put in there. Don't be that person. Just be a good person, be a good human, and people will work with you and they will work for you. Okay. What to write in birthday cards. Happy birthday. Honestly, if you want to write something personal, I always, and I tell my son this, and this is what I do when I'm writing in birthday cards or cards to anybody, especially if there's somebody who means something to me, is I pre-write the message. So I get a piece of scrap paper and I write out some things and kind of tweak it and work it around, and then go ahead and finally write it in the card. So that way you don't have to cross anything out or whatever. And, make sure you write slow, make sure you write legibly, and make sure you mean what you say and say what you mean. All right, this is going to be a soapbox for me, politics. I was raised in a very political home. I was raised on politics. I love politics. I also hate politics. I have a love-hate relationship with politics because nothing will get my blood boiling more than politics. First and foremost is be respectful of other people's opinions. I know there's an old saying that says you don't talk about sex, politics, or religion with others, and I completely disagree with that. The avoidance of talking about those things has led us to where we don't know how to talk about these things with others, and we don't know how to be respectful of people's opinions. I'm very strong in my beliefs and in my opinions, but I will do my best to listen to and try to understand somebody else's opinions, even if we don't see eye to eye. And that's how you seek to understand, is by having those conversations and asking questions, asking the tough questions. Why do you believe that? Why do you think that? There are people out there, they're called single issue voters. They will vote for a politician based on one issue. Those are the ones that are hardest to understand because a lot of times they go against what's best in their best interest on every other issue for this one single issue, which makes no sense. So, maybe asking questions and, not coming across as a complete a-hole with, the people on the opposite side and, saying, well, why do you think that? Why do you believe that? What about this? So asking those questions and getting them to dialogue with you will help you understand them, and it may bring them around to your side as well. But you have to be understanding, you have to be polite, you have to be friendly. The biggest thing is vote. Voting is huge, and it's important. For me, it's no secret, I'm very diehard left-wing. I'm a liberal. And the reason being is because being a female, being openly gay, it goes against my best interest to vote on the opposite side of the spectrum. And a lot of issues have affected me personally, from Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which was a big military policy back in the 90s, all the way through the early 2000s. And the reason that I ultimately was discharged from the military, all the way to my right to being married, have been affected by politics. So it's important to vote. If you don't know who to vote for, you look up the candidates, look up what their platform is. Their website should have it all laid out for you, for where they stand on everything from women's rights to education to gay rights and discrimination and race. And there's so many things that will be on a candidate's website, and look it up and read it and find out, do they fit where you believe? Do these policies affect you for the good or for the bad? How do they affect you? How do they not affect you? And I know a lot of you will say politics don't affect you. They do. They affect you in every angle of every aspect of life. So it's very important. Vote based on what's important to you and what is going to affect you for the best benefit. And then there is no perfect candidate out there. There really isn't. I know like this year, there was a lot of talk about purity tests and what candidates could pass the purity test in the Democratic field. No candidate will ever pass a purity test. So you need to find the one that best represents you and what you believe in and what you stand for and what's important to you. And that's who you vote for. And, don't try to look for the perfect candidate that fits you 100% on all issues, because that doesn't exist. So there will be extra credit in the assignments category for you today. And it's going to be registering to vote. And then show me your voter registration, and I will give you 10 points extra credit towards test quizzes and essays. It's that important. So. Vocab. I'm pretty sure we drilled that this year. So I was a little perplexed when this one came across in you guys' list of things that you wanted me to go over for adulting. Honestly, the best way to build your vocabulary is to read. I know I say that all the time. The best way to do a lot of things, the best way to learn a lot of things is to read. And that's why we did the silent sustained reading. Reading really, it's so beneficial for so many aspects, but vocabulary is a huge part of it. The more you read, the more you are going to learn different words, and you're going to learn them through context clues. You may not know it just by looking at it, but sometimes just reading through the paragraph that word's in, you're like, oh, that's what that means. Or just looking it up on top of that. So read books, read lots of books, read often. You'll need to do it in college if you're going that route, and it just makes you a better human, and it makes you a more knowledgeable human. So read and read often. Social skills. That's not really anything that can be taught. Be a good human. Have empathy for others. That comes from reading, by the way. The more you read, the more empathy you have. Don't do anything that you don't want to do. If somebody's pressuring you to do stuff that you're not interested in or that you don't feel is a good choice, it's bad form for you to do it anyway. So just follow, honor yourself, smile at people. If you're walking around constantly frowning, nobody wants to be around that. Be polite, say hi, don't gossip. Have a firm handshake. Practice that. If you don't have a firm handshake, practice that and get a firm handshake because people judge you on that. And then know your audience. So when it comes to social skills, if you're hanging out with a bunch of senior citizens, maybe you don't want to use a bunch of slang or, cuss a lot. If you're hanging out with a bunch of young people, you don't want to act like a complete prude. So you got to know who you're with and know who you're around. If you're a guy and you're around a bunch of girls, you don't want to be talking bad about women. If you're a girl and you're hanging out with a bunch of dudes, you don't want to talk smack about a bunch of dudes. So, just know who you're around, and kind of work be yourself, but kind of alter your way of speaking to who you're around, if that makes sense. Try to say something nice to people. It makes their day. I'm not going to give you anything in an assignment about it, but I challenge you, just, next time you're around some people when all this social distancing stuff is over, find 3 random people and compliment them on something. Be genuine in that compliment. Don't be fake, but tell them, hey, I really like your smile, or, oh, that's a really nice shirt you're wearing. That color looks great on you, So be genuine. That's a big, huge thing. And be nice to people and smile at them. And it makes their day and you will go further. All right. The life skills, do's and don'ts of adulting. Most of you are going to learn this as you go. And there's no right or wrong way to adult. There's not. You'll figure this out as you go. Just pay your bills, work hard, make friends. And by making friends, you be nice to people. And don't do anything in excess, meaning, don't party too much. Don't not party too much, do things, but do them in, moderation. Don't eat too much. Don't sleep too much. Don't spend too much. Stay in your budget. Things like that. It's very simple, honestly. And just use common sense. And I know that's not a flower that grows in everyone's garden, but do your best to do everything in moderation and be yourself and be friendly. And pay your bills. All right, here's what everybody's been waiting for: resumes. A resume is your opportunity to sell yourself to an employer. You're going to highlight the information that's important about who you are and why you are right for this job and why they should interview you and ultimately pick you. I will put some examples in the assignment tab. You want to make sure that even if you don't have actual job experience, you haven't had a paying job yet, if you babysat, you can talk about that. If you were in a club or a sport, people love that. And that's a huge selling point. So you can put that. If you took AP classes, that stuff you can put on your resume. And then your objective, should always be something to the effect of, to land in, a position within this company so I can grow myself into a career that I can ultimately retire from, something to that effect. The resumes we have to do as teachers are very different than what you guys have to do as a general resume. So showing you mine won't really teach you much. I'll see if I can find one of my old resumes though, from before I was a teacher. And that might be able to kind of show you a little bit of something. You want to keep it all to one page. Even me with as much job experience as I have, I can make it fit on one page. And that doesn't mean shrinking your font. It's all in how you talk about yourself and highlight yourself. But you should be able to keep it to one page because people don't want to read page after page. That's too much. The last line of your resume should say something to the effect of references available upon request. So you should have your references on a separate piece of paper and you should have no less than 3. how to quit your job. Ideally, you give 2 weeks notice in writing. And you don't burn bridges. And, you're not going to walk out flipping them off and calling them a-holes or anything like that. And that goes when you're interviewing at your next job. That was one thing I really was hoping to be able to do with you guys was mock interviews. So when you quit your old job and you're interviewing for your new job, do not talk smack about your old boss. Do not talk smack about your old job. It's really unattractive, and employers do not like that, because how do we know that you're not going to turn around and do the same thing to us in a couple weeks? So when you quit your job, you thank the people. I know that sounds really weird, but you thank them for the opportunity. You tell them what you've enjoyed about working there. You never know if you need to use them as a reference, and you never know if your new employer will call them and say, hey, how was this person as an employee? So you want to go out on a high note. You want to leave a good impression when you leave. So yeah. How not to get burnt out. That's not really so cut and dry because everybody's different. You need to listen to your mind and your body. You need to time block and do time management. Managing your time will be the most beneficial thing you can do for yourself as far as getting burnt out. If you worked 8 hours, is it the most wise thing to go after an 8-hour work shift and go party super, super hard, only get 2 hours of sleep, and then go do another 8-hour shift the next day? No. Say no when you can. Don't be afraid of the fear of missing out stuff, the FOMO stuff. Sometimes you need to miss out, and that's okay. It may have been a super epic party, but oh well, there will be plenty of more super epic parties that you'll get to go to. If you're really burnt out or you're really tired, if you're just not feeling it, honor that and respect that and say, you know what, I'm good. It won't be the last party, and it won't be the last opportunity. It won't be the last whatever, the last concert, the last anything. You'll have plenty of opportunity to do so many things. So if you need to say no, say no. All right, so your assignment. You're going to go to Google Docs and you're going to look up templates, and you're going to find your resume and cover letter templates. You can also Google those and find examples and stuff too. So you're going to create your resume, and I will give you tons of feedback as you're turning them in to help you perfect it, because unfortunately this is the only way that I'm going to be able to teach this to you guys. So that's how we're going to work together on this. If you have a great one first time around, I'll let you know it's great. If not, I'll tell you what you need to fix to make it perfect. And then you're going to also create a cover letter. So your cover letter should, we'll talk about that in another slide. Hold on. All right, your cover letter. You need to have proper grammar, because this is the thing they look at first. They look at the cover letter before they even look at the resume. And if you have a bunch of lowercase i's, bad grammar, misspelled stuff, they're going to be like, oh, wow, so-and-so's a complete idiot. And they're not going to read your resume, and they're just going to put your stuff in the shredder and move on to the next candidate. It's also your opportunity to show people that you care enough about yourself and about this job to put thought and time into the process of creating your cover letter and your resume and getting it to them. This is your opportunity to introduce yourself to your potential employer, and this is your first impression. So you can Google search examples to see them. I will also provide examples in the assignment template, so keep an eye out for that. Okay, so your resume. So like I said in the lecture portion of this video, include things like clubs, sports, if you don't have a job. Volunteer activities count as well. So you want to make sure in your experience you have stuff that you can come up with and say that you did. Even if you just did volunteer stuff, babysitting, let's say you just mowed the neighbor's lawn or whatever. Worked with a family member, volunteered to help your dad on his job site. These are things that created skills that are marketable. So you need to talk about those. Unfortunately, sitting at home on Snapchat is not a skill. Unless you're trying to become an influencer, I guess. I don't know. Good luck with that if that's the case. And I don't think you need a resume or a cover letter if that's what you're aiming to do. All right, on a separate sheet of paper, you're going to have 3 references. You need to have at least 3. If you can't come up with 3 people that are not related to you that can say nice things about you that you've known for at least 2 years, you might want to kind of evaluate how you've been treating others and how you've been kind of being as a human. So on a separate sheet of paper, you're going to put 3 references that are not family. You should have their first name, their last name, their address, their phone number, and their email address, and you should be able to state how you know them. Is it somebody like a coworker? Is it a teacher? Is it a former boss? Things like that. So that's your assignment, and there is going to be extra credit, and I will talk about that in a second. All right, so your extra credit, because I had my little soapbox moment about politics and why it's so important, you are going to register or pre-register if you're not going to be 18 in time for the election to vote. Screenshot your registration and submit it to me, and it'll be 10 points extra credit on test quizzes and essays. So get that to me, and next week we will talk about your final and how it will count for extra credit as well, and what you can do to turn that into me. So I hope you guys are well. I hope you are safe. I hope you're social distancing. And I completely miss all of you guys. You have no idea how hard this is for a lot of us that are teachers to not be with you guys in the classroom. The majority of us do this because we love being around you. We love your energy. We love everything about being in a classroom and talking to you guys one-on-one or in groups or whatever. So just know that you guys are missed, every single one of you. So if you're watching this, I miss you. And we will chat next week. Email me if you have any questions.